Welcome to stage 46 of the Spitfire Mk1a. In this issue we're going to be fitting the landing light to the right wing. Now, just like issue 44, the instructions do look very complicated, as you can see, but in actual fact it's all about a little bit of patience and just take your time and just take it one little bit at a time. Let's see if I did it any better than issue 44.
For those who fought in the Battle of Britain, it was a battle for survival. For the free world, it was a breathless moment in history. For failure would have plunged mankind into a new dark age. Never have so many owed so much to so few.
So as usual, let's start with a parts check. Now I'm going to do this ever so slightly differently this week. We know what parts we're going to be using. It actually tells us, due to a last minute modification to the operation of the landing gear light, parts B, which is this one, and part D, which is this one, are not needed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the parts out, and this is the sprue 46.1 LED cable guides and grips, and this is part A, which will hold one half of the landing light in. Normally I don't tell you what they do because I don't tell you until they crop up, but you guys aren't daft, you know what you're going to be doing. So this is part C, and this is the part that holds the other side of the landing light down, and that leaves us with part E, which is this one. And do you know what, guys, I cannot remember what this does. I think it's got something to do with an LED, but I know what we will be using it, and these are the two parts that are going to be left over. So piece 46.2 are two sets of screws. 46.2 is 1x4mm PB screws, which I've already popped in my pot. 46.3 is 3 PB 2x4mm screws, which I popped into my pot. Both of them, they've given us 3, but we're only going to need 2. Then we have 46.4 LED and cable, and yeah, let's test it. So if I remember rightly, last week it was red, and it was gonna sit behind a red holder. So this week we know it's going to go into a green holder. Can we assume it's either going to be white or green? Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Testing in 3, 2, 1. It's green. There we go, guys. So we know that part works. So just for a bit of fun, did you bet white or green? I knew they made green LEDs, but I wasn't sure what they would have used. So last part on the list is our cable label, and this is 46.5, and this one is labeled L8. So step 1, as always, or always seems to be, we take our LED and cable 46.4 and the cable label 46.5, remove the label from its backing and wrap it around the cable close to the connector, insert above. So we take lots of labeling today, this last few issues. So about a thumb width across, place the white bit over. As I turn it over, I'm aiming to get the ends lined up together. Doesn't have to be perfect, but there we go. There's a nice little label on there, and that's on there nicely. So this is step 2, and I've had to bring in the Spitfire, and I've tried to arrange it based on experience of the the two issues on the opposite side. I've tried to arrange it so that the whole working area will come in, but this is step 2. Fit the flat side of the landing light assembly, part 41A, through the corresponding hole in the wing panel 33-1, and then arrange it so that it fits flush with the outside of the wing panel. The longer bar on part 45-1A fits into a notch circled. The landing light can tip up and down. The insert right shows the part in place. So the notch that they're referring to is just there, and based on last week, let's just move this. We will be accessing it. I think we will be moving this later on, but let's just get it out of the way for now. And this landing light is going to go in like so. However, that's gone in so much easier than last time. But there you can see that goes in, and it rests on a little recess there and a recess on the other side. So that is absolutely perfect. So step 3, we need to take the rod grip part A, and that's this tiny piece there. I've just placed it there. From frame 46-1, check the fit of the holes in part A over the raised studs on the wing panel, so that the rod on part 45-1A is held in place. When you are happy with the fit, glue in place so that part 45-1A is held in place. So if I remember rightly, this was much easier once that landing light was in place. So we've got this one in place, and I'm going to attempt to use my tweezers. It was slightly comedic last time when I used tweezers, but in actual fact that's gone in absolutely perfect. So that's the test fit, and it's a good test fit because I'm struggling to get the part out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of my glue, and I'm going to apply glue to the holes on the part like that, not applying glue there. I feel I'm a little bit at risk of, in fact I am just going to pop a little bit of glue along there. I want to keep as far away from the rods as I possibly can, so I'm just going to pop glue in the holes there, and just on the very outsides where these ends will meet. So just glued that to my finger. So pop it onto the tweezers, push this landing light down, place that into there like so, give it a small push, and then yeah, that is stuck in place. I'm really happy, and as you can see I've got movement. I've got perfect movement on my landing light. So step 4, take part E from frame 46-1 and fit it over the other end of the landing light assembly. Fix in place with 2 PB 2x4mm screws. The tightness of these screws adjusts the stiffness of the landing light hinge. So the part in question is this part here, and what's quite what's quite important is that, well, no, that's wrong. I've cut my wrong bits off, haven't I? This is the part. Oh, do you know what? I've cocked up, haven't I? I've cut the wrong pieces off. So this is actually the piece that we needed, and that's, yes. So sorry guys. Yeah, I actually did the pieces wrong. No. Right, it is the magazine error. So these are the parts. It's told us that we don't need B and D. This is B and this is D. That's actually D. And then when we get to the step that we're on at the moment, it's now saying to take part E. Now part E is this part there, which is this part. However, you can see in the magazine that clearly is not part E, so be careful there, guys. But you won't be able to fit part E in, because as you can see it's not going to fit in there. So this is actually the surplus to requirements part, but it's not a problem. You know, at least we haven't glued the wrong piece in. So there we go, this is part E, which is going to go in. Let me just check the orientation. So you want it going in so it kind of curves outwards, and that is actually the opposite way from the other piece on the other side. So we need to push this landing light down. Now that's a little bit tricky for me because I'm right-handed. I suspect all you lefties would have found the previous two issues harder, and this one will be easier. But that's just going to pop over there like that, and then we need to secure that with 2 by 4mm screws. And I can't find my screwdriver's gone for a walk. So there's one screw. You'll see from my pot we have had PB 2 by 4mm screws in silver in the past. So as I always do, I'm going to just pop the first screw in just enough to bite, and I managed to mislay all my screwdrivers today. There we go. So let's pop the first screw in. Now that no longer seems to fit well, so I think it actually does fit well. It's the same as I mean, this is where I like these duplicate, I'm calling it a duplicate issue for the sake of argument, but I do like these where you do parts the same, because now I can compare this. This feels a little bit sloped, but I can feel on the other side that the other side is sloped too. So I'm going to do this until it touches, and I'm going to feel the fit. That's absolutely fine. Well, I think that's fine, but I really won't know until the operation. I am convinced there's something going in there. Actually, that has made it stiffer, so we can adjust how easy this moves by adjusting these screws. However, there's no way of knowing what the right tension is unless you have a theory, but you can adjust the tension mainly with that back one. I seem to be able to put the yeah, that's tightened it slightly, but this back one is the main one that that's now not moving at all, and I really don't like tightening and loosening screws when they're in plastic. But I'm happy with that. That's attached, and then we can move on to step 5. So step 5, take the LED cable 46/4 and position it on the wing so that the LED will light up the optical fibre of the wingtip light 45/3. The cable runs along a channel in the wing panel 33/1. Guide the cable through the notches in the wing panel. Now we found, yes, sorry, I was getting muddled up between this stage and another stage. So this is the LED cable 45/3. This is the green one that came last week, and what we're going to be doing, we have 2 notches there, and we want to place this, I'm actually placing it with the black wire down and the red wire up, and that's simply because that's how I've done the previous one. And that's going to go in. Is there actually a notch? There's no notches on the LED, but that's going to go into there fine. And then there we go. You'll probably find it easier to put the wire in first and then just maneuver. You know, I'm struggling with this now. That doesn't want to go in anymore. How odd is that? Right, let's try a different tactic. Let's thread. There we go. That's a better idea. I'm actually threading the wire through and then pushing it back until I've got the LED just in the right place, and then just to finish it off, place both through. So in actual fact, this is just a little bit different. Let me just test that light again. I get a bit paranoid about my cables not working and lights and things, and there we go, that's absolutely fine. I don't know if you can see it there working. 1, 2, 3. I hope I haven't just signaled SOS or something there, or please come and save me. So yeah, that's that in place, and then what we need to do is bring this wire through, and we've got 2 notches there, and we just want to thread that into there. And again, I would suggest keep it nice and loose. Place 1 in there, 1 in there, and once they're in place, do you know, this is actually struggling. Can you believe that? The last one went in so fine. So don't want to pull it really tight, but you want to just pick up the slack on it. So that's the first one in, and there's the second one, and that's going to hold that in well. Okay, so on to step 6. We want to take the landing light LED cable, which is this one there, and arrange it in the notches in the wing frame circled. Ease the cable under the loop in the wing frame arrow. Note that the landing light is tipped downwards. So this is the little loop, and we have 3 recesses there. Now last time I actually found it easier to aim the LED under the loop first and worry about these 3 later. So take up a nice big bit of slack, perhaps find a natural bend in the wire. We'll just hook that under there. You see how easy that goes. Then we can hold this end down, and we can just pull that through just to take up the slack, and that's as simple as that, guys. So step 7, we need to take the machine gun LED cable 42.4 and the wingtip LED cable and fit them through the gate formed by 2 raised screw sockets in the right wing panel. So the 2 lights that it refers to is this one that we've just taken down. This is the machine gun light. So let's remove that masking tape. It's done its job very well, but it's no longer required, and I've got tape stuck to me. So this needs to come down, and that needs to go through this part here, and that's just going to go like that, easy peasy. And then the LED light that we've just put in this week is also going through there like that. And because of the oversimplified instructions that Hachette like to give us, I'm now forced to hold this until I finished out reading stage 8. So stage 8, take part C from the frame and fit it over the top of the gate to hold the cables in place. Fix in place with 2 PB 1.4 by 4mm screws. So part C is genuinely this piece, and what we're going to do is we're going to pop that over there like that. You can see that it's just going to be the top of the gate. It's like the tower on the whatever it is that holds it in, and we're going to require 2 PB 1.4 by 4mm screws, and I'm going to have to let go of that gate, but I'll rearrange it in a moment once I've got this screw ready. So pop that in, and I think it's really important that you only put this in just enough to bite, and then we pop the second one in again just enough to bite, just so that that holder isn't going to fall off. and there we go. And then we want to check our cables, check there's movement, that's fine, push it down, check for movement. Just we really do not want to nip those wires. And we've got, I can see a little channel there, and I'm very tempted to thread that wire through, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be used for something else, so I will resist the temptation. Right, now that wire is in, and I know I'm holding it at place, I can finish tightening that screw up. That one's in. We'll just finish up with the second. Not too tight, but look, I've got movement on that cable, so that hasn't been nipped in. And then we'll just check this one. Yeah, look, we've got movement on that one, so that cable hasn't been nipped. So we've got every confidence that this is going to work. So on to stage 9. So we need to fit the cables 46.4 and 42.4 through the notches in the wing frame 25.1 circled, next to the landing light cable 43.4, then slip the cables under the loop in the wing frame. So just like all the previous wires, I'm actually going to do this one slightly backwards. I'm going to find a little kink in the table. I'm going to just, do you remember those 3 notches there and the hook there? I'm actually going to hook it underneath first, not last, and then I'm just going to keep pulling it just to take up that slack and twisting this round as appropriate. And that one's in place, and then I'll do exactly the same with this one. I'm going to hook that one under there, and then you see how they go through those channels nicely. And any that are a little bit too slack, we can just take a bit of slack, and then I just want to check this landing light. I want to make sure there's enough movement there. These are all alright because there's not any movement required, and that is actually stage 9 complete. So we'll move on to step 10 and 11 before we test our cables again. So just like the previous 2 weeks, I mean, I've already done this as I've been building, but step 10 says you can test the movement of the landing light, which is operated manually. The flap should be operated from below. Do not turn the model over, as this may damage parts. Push on the rear edge of the flat side of the landing gear light assembly 45.1a to open. And then step 11 says pressing the front edge of the landing light assembly 45.1a closes the light. I'm now convinced that they've done the picture of the underside of the wing for clarity, but yeah, I'm gonna push this at the rear, and it's quite difficult actually, but you could equally press it at the back, and then you close it with the front. But you can see that there it's moving, so I'm happy with that. So yeah, that's model complete. So what I'm going to do is, as per last week, I'm just going to get a couple of bits of masking tape. I just want to tidy up these wires a little bit, just so that if you walk past the shelf that you place this on, there's always a risk of catching these wires. So I'm going to arrange these ever so slightly differently. I'm actually going to bring these back in, and there we go. That's fine. It's only a bit of masking tape. It's not going to do the model any harm, and it's not going to do the wires any harm. And as you see, there's not enough masking tape, but then there never is enough masking tape, is there? So let's just take these down a little bit further up, and there we go. So they're tucked up out of the way. As you can see, we're getting lots and lots of wires, but I noticed that all of the wires, let me move this across to show my point. All of the wires are coming out the same color, and I will say that's a criticism. when I was doing the Route Master, I did have a big struggle with all the wires coming in, and what saved the day was being able to describe the wires by colour. Now so far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wires, and I'm sure there's going to be more, and every single one is black and red. And I just realised also I haven't checked these cables, so I'll do that as I'm talking to you. So these are well labelled, in all fairness to them. Right, whatever that was, it's not working. So whatever, L10. Now it's working. That's the landing light, and I can see that's working. So it would have been nicer if they used different coloured wires, and I really don't care what colour they are, as long as they're not the same as any other. But there you go, that's the landing. You can't see that, it's slightly off camera. You are going to have to take my word for this, I'm afraid. And this one I can't get in. That's my machine guns working absolutely fine. So now, as you guys know, I subscribe. I receive 4 packs in one go, and this unfortunately is the last of the 4 packs. So the bad news is that I'm not able to actually view the actual parts for next week. I know what the parts are. I only know from what they're going to tell us, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a massive amount. However, the good news is because this is the last issue of the pack, it means that approximately 1 hour after I release this video, I'll also be releasing one of my mods videos. So take care, guys. Next week we're receiving a fuselage panel and screws, and I really hope you join me for that. Take care. Bye bye.